They tell you to kill someone. Did you think of saying no?
No, not at all.
Desmond Lee. Desmond Lee was barely an adult when he was first arrested in 1990 for the murder of his landlady, Shirley Carr. Lee maintained his innocence and pleaded not guilty, but he was ultimately convicted and handed a life sentence. After serving only 14 years, Lee was released on lifelong parole in 2004. That decision may have come as a shock to Carr's family, but Lee's subsequent actions most likely would not have. Less than 5 years later, Lee found himself charged with yet another murder, this time that of his partner, Christopher Pratt. Lee claimed the death was the result of a freak accident, but a jury disagreed, convicting him of murder and imposing a whole life sentence. Aleksandr Rubel. Between 1997 and 1998, Aleksandr Rubel, then a teenager, committed a series of violent murders in Tallinn, Estonia, resulting in the deaths of at least 6 people. His first murder occurred on September 19, 1997, while he was under the influence of gasoline vapors and driven by an uncontrollable urge to kill. That urge was seemingly never satisfied, as he continued to take lives, with one case even involving the assistance of his father, Andrei Rubel. Due to his status as a minor at the time, Rubel was only sentenced to 8 years imprisonment, the maximum penalty allowed. He was released in 2006 and reportedly still resides in Estonia, although under a different name. Vince Lee.
He heard a voice in his head he believed was God, warning him about evil people, ordering him what to do.
The killing of 22-year-old Tim McLean by Vince Lee remains one of Canada's most disturbing murders. It occurred on July 30, 2008, during a bus trip from Edmonton to Winnipeg. While McLean was asleep, Lee, another passenger, inexplicably took out a large knife and fatally stabbed him. He then proceeded to commit unspeakable acts on McLean's remains as the horrified driver and passengers, who had all fled the bus earlier, looked on in terror.
Ever since that night, I have nightmares.
Lee was eventually arrested, but deemed not criminally responsible due to being diagnosed with schizophrenia. He was confined to a mental health institution, where he remained until his release in 2017.
After years of medication and therapy, doctors believe he presents little risk to the public.
Lee currently lives as a free man, under the new identity of Will Lee Baker. Juha Väliakala. Regarded as one of Finland's most notorious criminals, Juha Väliakala gained infamy for a 1998 triple homicide in Uppsala, Sweden. Väliakala had stolen a bike and was chased down to a local cemetery by the owners, Sten Nilsson and his son Fredrik. There, Väliakala fatally shot both of them and later killed Fredrik's mother Eva when she went looking for her husband and son. He was later given a life sentence, during which he escaped from prison 4 times. Despite his history, Väliakala was released on parole in February 2008, only to be re-arrested just 2 months later for a slew of new offenses. Eventually adopting the name Nikita Bergenström, Väliakala passed away in 2023, although it's unclear if he died in prison. Brian Lansing Martin.
A central mystery has dogged investigators from the outset of this case. How did Martin get out of prison just 3 years into a 10-year sentence in 2013 for manslaughter?
In October 2021, Brian Lansing Martin led Sheffield, Alabama police on a high-speed chase that resulted in the death of one officer and severe injury to another. But this wasn't Martin's first run-in with the law. Back in 2013, he pleaded guilty to manslaughter for killing his own father and received a 10-year prison sentence. After just 3 years, Martin was released on good behavior. However, an investigation into his prison records showed that Martin was anything but good, as he had accumulated multiple disciplinary infractions.
A review of the records show he was involved in what prison officials labeled a major discipline incident where he faced punishment and loss of good time.
In 2021, 5 years after his release, Martin fatally shot William Mielbach Jr., whom he had been caring for. This sparked the police chase that led to his arrest and subsequent charge of capital murder.
He was sitting me out on the street with a weapon, shooting at police. It's ridiculous. He was convicted of manslaughter. He should be in prison.
Bill Cosby. due to a legal technicality. Disgraced actor and comedian Bill Cosby, who is alleged to have sexually assaulted numerous women, walks free today.
Just hours after the court's ruling, Cosby coming before cameras outside of his home, celebrating his release after serving more than 2 years of a 3 to 10 year prison sentence.
In 2005, well before the allegations surfaced publicly, Cosby faced a civil lawsuit from one of his accusers, Andrea Constand. Cosby was convinced to testify during the deposition by then District Attorney Bruce Castor, who assured him that criminal charges would not be pursued. However, in 2018, after Constand's allegations led to a criminal trial, Cosby was found guilty using his own statements as evidence. 3 years later, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned this conviction, ruling that Cosby's due process rights had been violated.
Bill Cosby cannot be retried again for these charges.
Although cleared of criminal charges in that case, Cosby still faces multiple civil lawsuits.
I was really shocked. Disappointed. What does it say about the American justice system? That it's flawed?
David McCreevy.
In relation to David McCreevy, Friday the 13th wasn't just a Gothic movie, but a Gothic reality.
After being dismissed from the Navy and kicked out by his parents, David McCreevy moved in with his friend Clive and his wife Elsie. With Clive and Elsie both working long hours, McCreevy took on the responsibility of babysitting their 3 children. However, on the night of April 13, 1973, McCreevy tragically killed the 3 in a drunken rage, claiming he was provoked by the incessant crying of one of them.
To this day, sometimes I sit and it goes through my head, and it's still hard to believe what happened and what he actually done to them.
He pleaded guilty to all 3 murders and was sentenced to multiple life terms. The case gained renewed attention in 2013 due to reports about McCreevy being considered for parole. Despite the controversy surrounding his possible release, McCreevy was deemed rehabilitated and granted parole in December 2018.
He was refused parole on 9 occasions, and the parole board this time have decided that his risk is low enough that he could be trusted to serve the rest of his life sentence outside of prison.
Sammy Gravano.
Sammy the Bull is a serial murderer. He's a psychopath and a sociopath.
Sammy Gravano, commonly known as Sammy the Bull, was deeply entrenched in a life of crime as the underboss of the powerful Gambino crime family. For years, Gravano served as the right-hand man to John Gotti, only to later play a pivotal role in his downfall.
They tell you to kill someone. Did you think of saying no?
No, not at all.
Convinced that Gotti intended to frame him for certain murders, Gravano struck a deal with the FBI and testified against his former boss. Gotti was sentenced to life without parole, while Gravano received a 5-year sentence and was released in 1994. Subsequently, he entered into witness protection, but soon reverted to criminal activities, resulting in a 20-year prison sentence for drug trafficking. He was released again in 2017 and currently operates a YouTube channel and podcast.
You don't worry about a final judgment.
I'll worry about that day, and we'll see what happens.
Karla Homolka.
The true story of Paul Bernardo and Karla Homolka was no fairy tale. Both harbored deep, dark secrets that once revealed would send shockwaves through civilized society.
Between 1990 and 1992, Karla Homolka and her then-husband Paul Bernardo sexually assaulted and murdered 3 girls in Ontario, Canada. Shockingly, one of the victims was Homolka's own younger sister Tammy. Although Bernardo was the mastermind, Homolka actively participated in carrying out the crimes. However, after their arrest, she claimed to have acted under duress, but this was later proven to be a lie.
With little evidence against Bernardo for the murders, prosecutors felt they needed a witness to convict him.
The only way to put Paul Bernardo in prison was to believe Karla Homolka's story.
Nevertheless, Homolka testified against Bernardo and pleaded guilty to the lesser charge of manslaughter, resulting in a 12-year sentence. In July 2005, Homolka was released to much public outrage. These days, she resides in southwestern Quebec, where she remains known as Karla Homolka, despite an earlier unsuccessful attempt to change her name.
To hear that a person like that is here, it's...
Many neighbors just learned that through media reports this week.
Pedro Lopez. It is still unknown just how many people Pedro Lopez killed during his murderous spree across Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador. While authorities have confirmed 110 deaths, Lopez himself claims the actual victim count could be well over 300.
As proof, he agreed to show police the grave sites of his victims.
Hence, he is considered one of history's most prolific serial killers. Lopez was finally convicted of the murders in 1980 and sentenced to 16 years in prison, the maximum penalty in Ecuador at the time.
About 20 years after Pedro Lopez was arrested in Ambato, Ecuadorian officials changed the maximum sentence for murder from 16 years to 25 years.
He was released in 1994 and deported to Colombia, where he was confined to a mental health hospital before being let out on bail 4 years later. However, Lopez vanished and has not been seen since 1999, though he remains a suspect in several murders.
In October 2002, Interpol released an advisory on behalf of the Colombian authorities, stating they were looking for Lopez.
Did we miss any other notorious criminals who are walking free today? Let us know in the comments below.
Today, innocence came to Mr. Cosby.